In this video, we're going to talk about wheelchair trays, and lap trays in particular, what they're all about, how they work, and some of the particular features to look out for. Todd, lovely to see you. So tell me a little bit about wheelchair trays. Why do I care about this? What are they about?
Wheelchair trays are typically a tray for a wheelchair. Pretty hard, huh?
Yeah.
But they usually attach to the arm pads of a wheelchair, and they do a whole bunch of different things. Sometimes they position the upper body. Sometimes they hold technology. Sometimes they hold a cheese sandwich. Sometimes they hold individuals' papers that they're working on for maybe their homework. But it just allows somebody in a wheelchair to have that surface right there that brings whatever they're working on right to their hands.
Okay, so it's a wheelchair positioning sometimes, but also just kind of a use for general use of all items.
Yes.
Talk to me about the specifics now. A lap tray is different than a wheelchair tray. How, or are they the same thing?
You know, sometimes people use those terms individually. A lap tray in the old days used to have like a little pillow underneath it, and it sat on your legs.
Okay.
But now people call lap trays the same as a wheelchair tray, but
So kind of the
it's
same
pretty
thing.
much the same thing, yeah?
Okay, good. And I know that there are some special uses for these trays. For example, sometimes a lap tray is used for eating. Sometimes a lap tray is used for example, an iPad. Do you need different lap trays for all these things, or is there kind of a generic?
Well, there really isn't a generic, because what you're trying to do is you're trying to determine what you're trying to hold, what you're holding it upon, like what kind of chair that you have, what kind of arm pads, how high, does it need to be tipped, do you need it clear, do you need it dark? There's a whole bunch of different items that you really need to take into consideration to get the ideal lap tray.
Okay, cool. And now we've got a lap tray here. Maybe you can show me a little bit about this. What are some of the features that people should be looking out for when they're buying a lap tray?
First thing you should think about is the material. The material of a lap tray. This happens to be a polycarbonate tray. Mm-hmm. It's virtually unbreakable. And people like the clear trays because they like to see through. Mm. They like to see their feet. They like to see whatever, you know.
Right.
So this is a clear one. So you can get black ones. If you have visual issues and you need something that you can't see through, you might need a black one.
Okay.
It also depends on how much money you want to spend, because a clear tray is by far the most expensive, but sometimes it's very relevant. The next thing you need to think about is the size. What is it going to fit upon? Do you need a bigger belly cutout? Do you need a cutout for a joystick, let's say? And then the final thing that you need is you need to figure out how you're going to attach it to your wheelchair.
Right.
Those attachments can be as simple as a Velcro strap, if you don't need it to be permanently affixed. And then you can go all the way up to elaborate, highly adjustable, positive locking clamps that you can get with a wheelchair.
All right, so there's a lot going on with these things. Do any trays have Bluetooth?
Not yet.
No, man. All right, good. So tell me that there are some different uses for these. Of course, we're thinking for wheelchairs for the disabled market in particular, but also I want to say retirement home need wheelchair trays. What's the difference between, say, disabled versus elderly care or special needs?
In many cases, like when you go to, let's say, a nursing home and so forth, they just simply need a table surface to put a piece of paper on or maybe a sandwich on. Typically, those wheelchair trays are less expensive. They might not be as rigid. So when you put a wheelchair out here, it might do a little floppy like that. But it's okay for a sandwich, you know? But not if you're putting a communication device out there.
Like a laptop or whatever.
Yeah, you don't want that falling off, and you don't want it, you know,
dangling around
and jumping off like a springboard. So, yeah.
So last question for you. You've been in this industry for a good long time. What are some of the, I want to say, epic fails? What are some of the things to look out for that you definitely want to avoid, some of the things you've seen go wrong?
People try to use a lap tray or a wheelchair tray that is not appropriate for their use. Exact thing that we just spoke about. If you're trying to put a 5-pound iPad, or not iPad,
a laptop,
and you have very short arms, and you attach it with Velcro, is not going to work. And they're very, very frustrated it doesn't work, but it's just not going to work because you need to positively attach it to your wheelchair.
So spend the money, get the tray that you actually need to do the job at hand.
Correct.
All right, thank you so much. I appreciate that. A lot of insight there, really. For those of you who'd like to find out more, please visit us online at starhomehealthcare.com or call us directly on 1-855-862-8857.